Welcome to this explainer. Today we are diving into the ultimate question of human origins. Are we brand new blank slates, or are we ancient travelers? We're going to really dig into the source material here to explore both our biological origins and our stardust origins. It's a comprehensive look at what science actually tells us about where we come from. We're talking about the very fabric of who you are, tracing the lineage of your physical body and your conscious mind across unimaginable spans of time.
Think about this for a second. Every single second, a brand new heartbeat echoes into the world. It's this fragile, pristine breath of air, right? A total clean slate. And whenever we witness that visceral moment of a new life entering the room, it kind of forces us to ask a really profound question. Where did we come from before this? Is every child born today a completely new human body, a fresh soul stepping onto the stage of life for the absolute first time, or somehow do we carry unremembered past lives, echoing from centuries before we ever even opened our eyes?
Section 1. The biological reality, the undeniable chemistry of our creation.
All right, let's kick things off by stripping away the myths and the folklore. We really need to look at exactly what the uncompromising raw chemistry of biology dictates. 37 trillion. The next time you look in the mirror, realize that you aren't just one single monolithic entity. You are looking at a walking, breathing, physical framework made of roughly 37 trillion individual cells working in perfect harmony. Actually, to put that into perspective, if you tried counting every single one of those cells at a rate of 1 per second, it would take you well over 1 million years just to finish counting. And every single one of those microscopic building blocks is governed by DNA, this staggering biological instruction manual that you inherited strictly from your parents. So, from a strictly biological standpoint, science tells us that your physical body is the direct physical continuation of an unbroken chain of life stretching back billions of years.
But what about your conscious mind? What about the invisible self that feels and loves and wonders? Well, what's really fascinating about this next number is that it represents the physical hardware of that consciousness. 86 billion. That is the number of neurons firing inside your brain right now. It's literally like having the same number of stars in our entire Milky Way galaxy packed tightly into your skull. And these neurons are communicating at terrifyingly fast speeds. We're talking electrical impulses zipping through your brain at over 250 miles per hour, generating literally every thought, memory, and emotion you are ever going to experience.
Now, materialist science draws a very sharp, unyielding line right here. Modern neuroscience tells us consciousness is what's known as an emergent property. This basically means consciousness isn't some independent ghost trapped inside a biological machine, it literally is the machine itself. Think of it kind of like a hurricane. A hurricane is just water and wind, but when those simple parts interact in a highly complex way, you get a massive swirling storm. In the exact same way, your consciousness is this dazzling, intricate symphony of electrical impulses firing across those 86 billion neurons we just talked about.
So, when we put this mystical idea of a permanent soul side by side with the materialist view of an emergent property, the differences are incredibly stark. A permanent soul suggests a metaphysical migration from body to body across centuries, leaving absolutely zero physical footprint behind. But empirical biology, it insists on the emergent property model, meaning when the biological machinery stops working, the physical music stops. Hard stop. There is no measurable soul particle that you can isolate under a microscope or capture in a test tube or detect with a spectrometer. The physical machinery is all there is.
And by this strict scientific standard, when a human being is born, they are a virgin mind on blank pages. They absolutely do not possess hidden memories from an 18th century sailor or an ancient Roman soldier. They are a brand new biological and neurological entity, holding a completely fresh pen, writing its very first chapter in the history of the world.
Section 2. The Past Life Puzzle. Anomalies in the hard-nosed world of academia.
But you know, science is rarely as simple as a completely closed door, right? And lingering anomalies really force us to keep an open mind. We have to acknowledge some of the most profound psychological puzzles of our time. Take the late psychiatrist Ian Stevenson, for instance. He spent decades documenting thousands of cases of past life recall. And he wasn't just collecting spooky internet stories, okay? This was rigorous academic research published by university presses. He researched instances where young children, often toddlers who had barely even learned to speak, communicated with terrifying detail about lives they had never experienced. They gave specific names of distant villages, former spouses, hidden family secrets.
details that Stevenson actually later verified through historical and public records. In some crazy cases, they even bore highly unusual birthmarks that corresponded perfectly to fatal wounds from a specific deceased person. Now, mainstream science often attributes these phenomena to cultural contamination, childhood fantasy, or incredibly vast coincidence. But honestly, regardless of where you stand on the ideological spectrum, these meticulously documented cases remain fascinating anomalies in our ongoing study of human consciousness.
Section 3. Forged in Stardust, the poetic physics of our reality.
Now, let's pivot away from human psychology for a second and look up at the universe itself, because this brings us to a reality rooted in astrophysics that is almost unbelievably poetic. Every single atom in your body comes from somewhere. It wasn't just created out of thin air. The iron currently pumping through your blood, forged in ancient stars. The calcium giving absolute structural integrity to your bones, ancient stars. The carbon that forms the very lattice of your DNA, forged in the blazing hearts of ancient stars. And this brilliantly illustrates a staggering reality. None of these elements could have ever been created on a calm, quiet planet like Earth. They required the unimaginable heat and pressure of massive stars exploding in violent supernovae, billions of years before our solar system was even a speck of dust.
So here is the absolute kicker. In a very literal, scientific sense, you have lived before. Not as a conscious person with a name, an address, and favorite memories, but as ancient stardust. You are cosmic matter recycled through the ultimate furnace of the universe. The atoms currently making up your left hand might have spent millions of years drifting through a nebula, eventually falling to Earth, becoming part of a prehistoric ocean, then a dinosaur, then a tree, and finally, you. You are a literal masterpiece of deep time recycling.
Section 4. The Final Verdict. Synthesizing our biological and stardust origins.
So, synthesizing both our highly specific biological origins and our ancient stardust origins, what is the final verdict on a newborn baby? When we put it all together, we get what we can call the singular spark. Biologically and neurologically, yes, a newborn is a totally brand new human creation. They're a delicate, unrepeatable masterpiece born of genetics, raw chemistry, and environmental circumstance. They are a lightning-in-a-bottle conscious spark igniting for the very first time in the history of the cosmos. But materially, at their very core, they are ancient beyond comprehension, merely borrowing this cosmic stardust for a single, fleeting lifetime before returning it to the Earth.
Ultimately, whether we are conscious souls navigating an endless, mysterious loop of time, or rare, lightning-in-a-bottle biological sparks, one absolute truth remains for sure. You are here, right now. The brief, brilliant flash of consciousness you call your life is simply the universe waking up to experience itself. Just think about that for a second. The universe spent 14 billion years expanding, cooling, and forming galaxies just so that it could eventually form your eyes to look back out at it in awe. So, I leave you with this to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. Knowing that you are literally the universe experiencing itself through 86 billion incredibly fast neurons, what will you choose to experience today?